Hey friends, Hattie from Honeybee Stampers here with your video tutorial for our Sweet and Simple card class for the month of July 2023. So what you see here are the 6 projects that I designed for this month. And we've already had the class, but there are some of you who cannot attend in person here in Sumter, South Carolina, so you opt for the to-go option, which means that I send you all of the kits cut and prepped and ready for you to be able to assemble. Now, I don't do any stamping, of course, because that is against our policy, but I do as much of the prep work as I can. And I know that you may not have all of the products that I feature, and so I try to keep that in the back of my head when I'm designing, and I design projects that you can actually maybe substitute something that you already have. Now, sometimes that's just not the case because I really want to showcase some really pretty product, and there's no getting away around that. But you, of course, can be creative and come up with things that you have in your stash. Or you can always shop my online store and get exactly what I've used. So these are the 6 cards here, and I'm just going to do a walkthrough of putting each of these cards together so that if you got the kit to go, you can actually watch me put them together and get some inspiration and see what the cards are to look like. Okay, so we'll start with this one here, a very simple one. Now, the other thing is usually when I'm doing Sweet and Simple card class, I try really hard not to use retired product because I know that you may not be able to get it. And you may see that card and be like, oh, I really wanted to make that card and they don't sell it anymore. But sometimes I do feature retired product, and this is an example of that. So this color paper here just recently retired, and this designer series paper here recently retired, but I loved it so much that I was like, I just can't not feature it. I didn't get a chance to while it was available, and now here's my opportunity. So when you get your card kit in the mail, you're gonna get 6 different card kits that are going to be in their envelopes, self-contained, and they're going to look like this. So you see all of these pieces here, and be real cognizant that a lot of times there's little gems that are hiding in your envelope. So check into the corners of your envelope as well. And so we'll start with this beautiful, I said positively pink, I meant polished pink. So this was an in color that just recently retired, and some of you may have it in your stash and some of you may not. And if you don't have it in your stash, well, now you'll have a card featuring this that you can enjoy. Whenever I have something that is embossed, I try to emboss it for you as well. I want to make this as easy as possible for you. Okay, so that you can just kind of start designing. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this piece. Now, if you like this piece better, of course, go for it. You can use that side. But I really loved the blues on the other side, and so that's what we're going to feature. You're just going to adhere this piece directly to your card front, and I can tell right now that this is actually cut a little bit larger, so that's an easy fix. Sorry about that if you guys got cards that were just trimmed a little bit larger than what they should have been. I'm just going to trim up the side there with my paper trimmer. There we go. And I might as well trim a little bit of this off too. Okay. Okay, so then there's that layer, and then we're going to adhere this directly to our folded card base. And you know what? I completely forgot a step already. Sorry guys. So what you want to do, it's another easy fix. What you want to do is add some adhesive to the back of this layer here, and you're going to adhere it to your card like this. Since I already glued it down, I'm just going to add some glue here, and I'm going to slide it in right there. Okay, let me do this way because I've got a little defect on that side. Okay, so I just want a little, about a ½ an inch sticking out, so you see that, and then you're just going to flip it over and take a pair of paper snips, and you're going to snip the ends off like so, and that'll give you that perfectly angled look like that. Okay, now I can put this down on my card. Sometimes I design these cards a week or two in advance, and so not always, but I haven't made these cards in a minute, so it's taking me just a second to warm up to remember what I've done. All right, so then we've got this piece right here, and we're just gonna take and stamp the sentiment. I use Good Feelings, this stamp set. Love these large fonts, and we're gonna use the thank you out of here. And that stamp set is available for purchase, so that has not retired in case you fall in love with that stamp set. And it's so great to stamp on circles because, oh, maybe I spoke too soon, because it's easy to kind of line everything up. Let's see if I landed on it. There we go. Okay, so there's our thank you. We're just gonna flip it over. Add it to this layer. Okay. And now I'm going to use some Stampin' Dimensionals, which I love. Stick that right there. This little punch, this is an actual punch, was already punched out for you. Ideally, you could use liquid glue here. I don't have any liquid glue in front of me right now, so I'm just going to add a little bit of regular adhesive. Liquid glue would just make it so much easier to apply that. And then I'm just going to stick it right there. Then we've got these little gems here. And let's stick one right here. You can put your gems wherever you'd like, but I'm just going to follow my original sample. There we go. And that card is done. So simple to put together. I hope you guys like that card. Oh, we got one more thing. You've got a little bow in your envelope as well. And we've already had this class, but I do have 2 of these kits available for purchase. I'll leave a little link down below, and then I'll just turn the link off when it's sold out. But I've got 2 of these kits left for you, and they're $28 if you use PayPal, or if you send me a check, or if you are nearby and you stop by, it's $25. So I can send you these kits in the mail, or you could pick them up. So there's our first card. Super simple. And again, this is the stamp set I use, Good Feelings. It's great stamp set, and it's still available. So let's set these cards to the side and grab our next card. Okay, our next card is this card. I featured this on my social media because it was just so cute. Oh, this piece right here goes on the inside of that. So if you see some of those larger white pieces, they go on the inside. All right, this must have got smashed somehow with the little clip during class, but there we go. So you're gonna get a kit that looks like this for this card. And we'll dump all the pieces out here. This is some designer series paper, isn't it beautiful? From the Daisy. It took me a minute to get used to the color combinations that they used with this, right? But it just is so pretty. Now this is the piece that's already die cut for you. And I also put some adhesive on the back. So you're gonna just peel the backing off almost like a sticker. And when you're peeling it off, it's gonna pull a lot of the extra little tiny pieces that were die cut that needed to come out. So that's great. You may have a few pieces left in there and you can just pull them off. You see all of these little pieces right here, random pieces. Okay, so now what you're gonna do is you're going to take this and you're gonna lay this over the top of this blue cardstock. Okay, and it should stick very nicely. And then you can use your a pair of paper snips or take your pick tool to kind of pull away if there's any other little strays that are sticking in there. Now what I did from here is I took a pair of paper snips and I just cut off the excess because you're not going to need those. You're only going to see just a little window of this beautiful die. So you don't want this stuff in the way. Using, because I've got adhesive on the back here, I'm using some old paper snips that I don't mind allowing it to get tacky. Okay, and then I'll cut this off as well. Okay, and that's what you're left with, okay? These little pieces there. All right, now you're gonna take your card base. It's just a basic white, thick, basic white card base and fold it in half. And we're gonna adhere this directly to the card base. And I usually do it kind of so that there's a border at the top and on the sides there. Okay. I've also die cut a piece, a circle like this, that's gonna fit right over the top of it. And you can use dimensionals here, but I really like using our foam strips. This is gonna create kind of like a shadow box look. So the foam strips are what you would use if you're creating a shaker card, like a traditional shaker card. But you can also use it just to pop up elements on your cards. Okay. And they're easy to, like, you lay them down and you can tear it off. And if you were doing a traditional shaker card, these are great because you can bend them around the circle there to contain all of the little pieces that you are putting in there in the shaker card. And then I usually just stick my excess right back on there and set it to the side. You can pull these little strips off the back super easily. So make sure you've got some of these foam strips in your arsenal because they're rather handy. And then you are going to lay this over your card so that there's a nice even border on all four edges. You're going to also have a little piece of black that's already die cut for you. And I've already actually heat embossed this. If you have any questions about heat embossing, let me know. I will be happy to show you a video on how to do that. The stamp set that we're using for this is the Something Fancy stamp set. And this is fabulous. This is a fabulous stamp set. So you see that I did the congratulations initially, and now I've switched over to happy birthday. And so I am just going to add a little adhesive on one end here and a dimensional over here. And I think I'll add another dimensional right in here to give my banner a little bit of support. Okay. And I probably should have used the foam strips for this because the dimensionals are just a little bit flatter, just a little bit thinner than the foam strips, but it still works. So you get that kind of shadow box look with that card. Beautiful card, so simple to put together. These dies are amazing. If you didn't catch my weekly live that I did a video all about those dies, the Gorgeous Gardens dies, and just showcased some different projects with it, but they are just beautiful. You can check that out on my YouTube video as well, the replay. Okay, so there's that card. Our next card we're gonna do is this one. I love these colors. They're kind of Valentine-y, but I just loved them. Okay, so here is your kit for this. You could recognize the kit just kind of based on the cardstock base, right? You got a lot of pieces going on in here. All right, so when you look at this kit, you're gonna see that this has already been embossed for you, which is amazing. Make your life a lot easier. And so I'm just going to take, I'm not gonna forget to do this like I did with that first card. And you're gonna have this little strip of sweet sorbet that you're going to add. So we can just have some color, add that color in to tie in with our hearts. And then we're going to adhere this directly to the card base. And this paper right here is a beautiful, hefty paper pack, and it comes with like 48 sheets of cardstock, or of DSP. And so you're getting a little sampling of it. I love the other side of that. You'll get a little scrap piece of paper that looks like this. And what you're gonna do with this is create this little image here. So let's grab out those pieces. Let me show you the stamp set we're featuring. It's Just My Type, which I love. It's such a fun stamp set. All right, we're gonna take our Orchid Oasis ink pad, ink this up. And because this is photopolymer, you get the best image if you stamp on a foam mat. So let me make sure I get enough ink on here. And you do need to, this is kind of two-step stamping in that you stamp this first image, okay? And then there's a second image that you would stamp, and let me see, there's my Memento black ink. And I'm just gonna hover over it until it looks like it's lined up there. And then I'm gonna stamp that paper. Isn't that cute? I just think that is so awesome. And then you're gonna fussy cut that. And I've already done that. So here's my fussy cut piece, just cutting around it. And then I'm gonna take a couple of the stamps here. Let's take the For You. You could put thank you in there, you could put hi, all kinds of stuff. But we're gonna do For You. This is one of my favorite stamp sets in the annual catalog. I just think it's so cute. And we're just gonna stamp right there, okay? And then we need some Sweet Sorbet for our heart. Ink that up. And stamp right there. Okay, isn't that so cute? I just think it's so cute. All right, well, let's close all of these up and put them back in here for right now. And we can kind of assemble. So we're gonna have this Orchid Oasis card base. Okay. Then we're gonna take this piece, and I just felt like it needed a little bit of a border of color around it, so I added some basic black. It looks good directly on the Orchid Oasis as well, but I don't know. I just felt like it was missing something at the time when I was designing it. And we're going to layer this on here, and it is just the tiniest little border of color there. Okay. And we're gonna pop this up with some dimensionals. If you're watching this and you realize that there are some items that I'm showing you that you do not have, that you really want, and you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator already, I'd be happy to help you place an order. So there's gonna be links below where you can shop my online store, or you can always reach out to me if you have questions. Okay, so there's our first one, first layers there, and then you're going to take and you're going to add this on also with dimensionals. I love dimensionals, can you tell? So something to note, that if you do not have this Just My Type stamp set, this one right here, but you have something else that would be kind of like a bolder image, you can put that right here, because all of this will already be provided for you. And then you could put something else right here in its place. So you can see, so hopefully that makes sense as to how or why I have people ask me, like, how can you sell these kits to go if the people don't have all the stamp sets that you're showing? And that's how. And I have people who do order these each month, and they share with me the projects that they've created with their own product that they have, and I'm always blown away, always blown away. So for this one, you're gonna use a little glue dot for this twine, so you'll have a little twine bow included too. I mean, everything is as much as can be included is included for you. And I just kind of put that in the corner there. This little bow is gonna drive me nuts. So when it twists like that, what I'll do is I'll spread it out and then I'll kind of push each side onto the glue dot to hold it open like that. All right, and then for this little heart, I'll actually use the glue dot for this as well. It's cute, tiny little heart. Okay, and I'm just gonna stick that right over the knot of my twine. And then we will embellish with these beautiful embellishments. And again, you are going to have a piece of white cardstock that you can use on the inside of your card, and you can decorate it and stamp it however you wish. I'll do one more. This one I think I'll put on, nah, I'll keep it the same. There we go. So there is that card. So sweet and simple. And again, you'll have your little white piece to go inside. Okay. All right, we're 3 cards down. Let's see where we're at next. Okay. Let's do this one next. So this one was kind of a tricky one for the attendees at Stamp Camp. It's this one right here. I fell in love with this stamp set and I just had to showcase it. I had to figure out a way to showcase it. So here's the stamp set called Marvelous Nature. Okay, and it's just so pretty. I did use my Stamparatus to make it easy for the class, and if you have a Stamparatus, we no longer sell them, but if you have one, I would suggest that you use it as well. Let me get the card kit out for this one. You are gonna see your card kit has this Night of Navy card base, okay, and all of these little pieces here. So this piece is gonna go on the inside of your card, so I'm gonna set that to the side. The smaller piece, the smaller basic white is what you're gonna use to stamp with. So I can see that there's some ink on my Stamparatus. I just wanna make sure it's good and clean. Okay. Okay, so here's the trick with this. I used washi tape to separate the two sides of this stamp to get this diagonal look. I tried this a couple different ways and I just didn't love it. I tried just inking, you know, straight across. I tried blending the two colors and it just didn't work for what I was doing. So this is how I'm doing this. And again, if you don't love what I've done here, but you do have this stamp set, you can actually just stamp it all in one color and stamp it down and it will look fantastic, trust me. If you want to try this where it's two different colors, block colors here, I use washi tape to accomplish this. So what I did was I took the washi tape and I stretched it across here, tear that off, and I tried to expose the beak. This tiny, tiny little beak on this bird here. Okay, and I want to make sure that my edges are really pushed down because we want to ink right all the way up to the edge there. And I'm going to start with the lighter color. It's always a great rule of thumb to start with a lighter color. And I'm going to ink this up. I am using our little stamping spot in Coastal Cabana. If you don't have little stamping spots, but you like them, you like to use little tiny spots like this and gives you great control, you can actually purchase uninked stamp spots and then ink them up with our Stampin' refills. So you can make them any color you wish. Okay, I actually keep all of them that come with my paper pumpkin kit, and that's where I get a lot of them. So you see that there, right? Don't forget to take off the washi. That was something that people were forgetting to do in class. So there's this. So I actually got this really cool little tool as a gift from my friend Hillary, and I'm gonna use it because it helps me to be ergonomically correct when I'm inking, but I also wanna kind of ink up and down. And when you can see here, because it's so close to the spine, a lot of this is missing. So I've got to apply a little bit more pressure. So I'm going to do that. Okay. So what I would do personally is I would go back and I would ink that all up again to get it like a little bit of a darker color. And when you're using Stamparatus, you can do that. Like, it really allows you to do that to make it a deeper, more bold color. But for the video's sake, I'm just gonna go ahead and move on to the next step, which is taking the washi tape, and you can use a new piece if you want, and just kind of finding that initial line that you made, okay, and sticking the washi tape down on the other side. Like you're gonna cover up from the line that you made this way back. I'm saying that out loud. It feels clunky. Hope you guys know what I'm talking about there. Okay, so now I've covered up his little beak, right? And we're gonna bring in some Night of Navy ink. I'm gonna use the ink spot again, just because it just gives me more control than if I were to use a stamp pad. And then also, if I were to use a marker, I think it would take me forever. Okay, so I'm inking this up. So make sure you guys are saving your little ink spots from your paper pumpkin kits. And then I'm trying to get as close to this line as possible because I really want that line to be covered. What I should have done is actually move my line down a little bit. Let's see if it meets. If it doesn't, I'll have to go back in and fix it. But I should have moved the line just a little bit lower so that some of the Coastal Cabana gets covered up with that Night of Navy, but it makes it meet together. I really hope you guys are picking up what I'm putting down. So even though this one was a little bit more of a challenging card, for my customers, it is a really beautiful card. And when you get the hang of it, it'll make sense and be so much easier for you. Okay, so I'm happy with that. I am good with how that looks, okay, for this particular card. Again, like I said, you could do it several times and keep making it darker and darker. Okay, let's set this to the side. Let me cover up my little ink spots. I love these little ink spots, and I store them together in Color Family in these little plastic cases. I really need to do a studio tour of like how I organize things, because I love watching other people's. Okay, there we go. This is our Night of Navy card base, and then we're going to take the piece that we just stamped. We're going to adhere it to a piece of Coastal Cabana. Okay, again, just the smallest of a layer, probably 1/8 of an inch or so. I like to switch it up every once in a while. And then we're going to put some Stampin' Dimensionals on the back of this layer. It's a very simple card. There we go. And one more. Okay, let's place that right here in the center. Okay, you're going to get a piece of Night of Navy that looks like this, and then I just heat embossed it with the Lots of Love sentiment right there. And I'm again going to pop it up with dimensionals. I'm going to put one right here. And it's just going to hang off of this main focal piece. There we go. I love that. I just think it's so beautiful and simple and clean. And the stamp set is beautiful. I can't wait to play with this image right here. So you will not, this is not the last that you've seen of this stamp set. Okay, let's move on. We've got 2 cards left. Okay, this next card was a fun fold that I created. And I featured these 2 stamp sets that are both current stamp sets in our catalog, but this one, Ray of Light, we had a stamp sale, a 24-hour stamp sale, and this one sold out right away. It's a very popular background stamp, so make sure you get your hands on it. And then Hope and Prayer is another stamp set. So this is the card that I designed for this, and it is a fun fold. So you can see that it will stand up on a table like that. You can see that from the side there. Okay, so I'll start with it flat as we put this card together. And during the class, I had some very smart stampers decide, and I think it was Peggy that came up with this idea, decide to put this on the other side. And so that's what we're going to do today. I hope I can remember to do that. All right, this is our new Lemon Lolly cardstock. It is a brand new ink color, brand new color in general for Stampin' Up, and it is beautiful, beautiful. So the score lines are already done for you, so all you have to do is score them. Okay, so you're going to score that, you're going to burnish that first score line, not score them. They're already scored for you, so all you have to do is burnish them. So there's that first one, and then the second one will come in like that, okay, to make that mechanism there. All right, here are the rest of the pieces. I'm going to have some ribbon in here as well. Okay, let's start with this Lemon Lolly layer because we are going to ink up that ray of light. I almost call it a starburst. We're going to ink this one up in Lemon Lolly. My rule of thumb is if the stamp is larger than the ink pad, I always ink this way. Now, if the stamp is smaller than the ink pad, then I ink this way, okay, with the stamp pad on the table. So we're just going to ink this up by lightly tapping, and I can see I've got some good coverage there. We're just doing tone on tone, so it's really easy. Now, here's my other tip, is to use the back of your grid paper. So I'm going to place this here, and then I'm going to take my grid paper and use it to be able to rub over the top. And if you want to bring this back in, you could do that too if you wanted to. Okay. And if you're curious about this, I do have a friend that sells them. So you'll have to reach out to me if that's something that you're interested in. I'll get you hooked up with her. Okay, there's that. Look at that. Isn't that just so gorgeous? I mean, it is so subtle. So when this comes back off of back order, make sure you get it because you're going to love that stamp set. We're going to go ahead and add this to our basic gray layer. And actually, before I do that, I'm going to put my faux bow on. So you're going to have two strips of ribbon here. One's a little bit shorter than the other. The ribbon that's a little bit longer, I recommend using that to wrap around the cardstock. So I'm going to just grab a glue dot. Whenever I'm dealing with ribbon ever, I always use glue dots. And so I'm just going to put a glue dot there. I'm going to wrap this around here. It's actually rather long. And then let's add another glue dot right here. And we'll put that down like that. Okay. Now let's add that to our basic gray layer. Like that. Okay. It's coming together. Okay, so when you bring it back over here to your card base, you want to make sure that you only add adhesive to the bottom. So I'm using a pretty strong adhesive right now, but tear and tape would be a really good one to use as well. Don't want any adhesive to go on the top and none up here. So now what I'll do is lay it onto my card base so that I'm centering it like that. Okay, and because it's only adhered to the bottom, it'll allow me to pop it up. Okay, you see how that's working. Okay, let's bring in our sentiment that we're going to put on here. So we've got under his wings, you will find refuge, which is like just beautiful sentiment. And we're going to start by stamping in our basic gray. And wow, this basic gray seems a little bit on the dry side. I need to re-ink my stamps after class. And then we're just going to stamp right in the center there. Okay, that works for me. And then there's this beautiful cross that's part of that stamp set as well. So I'll ink this up in the Lemon Lolly. And because Lemon Lolly is such a light color, you don't have to stamp off. And I'm just gonna have the cross here, the horizontal part of the cross, kind of line up with wings and stamp it right there. So it just is right in the background. It looks like it to me at least. All right, now we'll take and adhere this to our basic gray circle. Okay. And then I wanted to soften it up a little bit, so I added a vellum circle. Okay. And then we're gonna pop this up with dimensionals. I'm sure you guessed it. Okay, there we go. So if you're at home and you've got this kit, you can always pause me and fast forward me, whatever you need to do to get your cards done. And we're just gonna stick it right here. And then to complete your faux bow, you'll just slide this smaller piece in and tie a little knot. Like that. And then I'll take my paper snips and pretty up the ends there. There's one end. If you have ribbon cutting scissors, those are even better. So there's that. All right. Okay, so now for the inside, you do need to do the inside of this card so that it will stand up for you. Okay. We're gonna start by stamping our little dove. We're gonna stamp him in basic gray. Right onto this circle. Okay. And then you're going to take a light smoky slate Stampin' Blend. I recommend using the bullet tip to just draw the smallest outline. Oops, I already messed up right there. Around the image. And what that does is it just makes the image look like it's popping off the page. Almost like giving it a shadow. Okay, I messed it up a little bit, but you guys get the point, right? And then you're gonna take a little bit of Lemon Lolly and we'll color that with Lemon Lolly. Now, I've remembered here that I wanna put this on this side. My punches are starting to get a little bit ratty, so I'm sorry if you get a circle that isn't beautiful. And if you do, you can kind of just shave the pieces around there. I wish they would come out with punches again. Well, they have, but I wish they would come out with the whole collection of them because I do love using punches. And then this sentiment, "You are in my prayers." We're just gonna stamp that right here. Okay. And we're gonna pop this beautiful dove up. And the dove is what's going to catch our card so that it stays standing up. Okay, so we'll put this on to the inside of the card base. I need something to keep this from moving around so much, gosh. Okay, we'll put this right here. Oopsie. It's wanting to stick prematurely. There we go. And then, so you'll see, here's the card front. And then when you open up the card, you can open it up like this, and you can also display it on a table like that. So just a simple, beautiful, fun fold card that you can gift. So we'll set that to the side. And now onto our last card. Okay, so our last card features the cottage wreath stamp set and dies. I'm showing you this last because I am doing a holiday or a Christmas card club. Christmas card club that starts next month. And each month for the next 4 months, we're going to be featuring a different bundle. And so since the holiday catalog hasn't come out yet, we decided on doing this one. I am partnering with a friend of mine from Canada, and she and I are going to be showcasing this together. She's going to design 2 cards, and her designing is gorgeous. I will be announcing this officially and introducing her to everybody because this is our first time doing a collaboration like this together. And so I'll be introducing the whole shebang to you guys really soon, but I wanted to use this stamp set to kind of introduce like a soft introduction to our Christmas card club. It's going to be a really fun club. You'll make 8 cards, so 4 different designs, 2 of each, which is exactly what you need for Christmas time to be able to make all those cards. So this particular stamp set is beautiful, and I can't wait to show you guys what we create with it. And we're featuring the new designer series paper that is One Horse Open Sleigh, but we're going to be focusing on the other side, not the side that you're seeing so much of. So you're going to get your card kit. It's going to look like this, and we're using this new in color called Moody Mauve, and you're going to have 3 pieces of very vanilla cardstock. Now be aware that the smaller 2 pieces go on the front of the card. The larger piece goes on the inside of the card, so try not to get that mixed up. If you love this stamp set or you love the idea of the Christmas card club, definitely get this stamp set, or you'll be able to add it on to when our registration goes live. You'll be able to add it on at cost. So I do that as a perk for club members. You don't have to pay extra shipping and tax on it, all that kind of stuff. So stay tuned for more information about that. But this card, this was inspired by Mary Fish. She did a very beautiful card. I just basically changed the colors up because I was like, this is completely sweet and simple, absolutely my style, and just gorgeous. So that is where I got this inspiration. During class, I created this little sentiment guide, and I just told them to take the smaller, you're going to start with the smaller, very vanilla piece, and you're going to lay the sentiment guide across the bottom there so that lines up. The reason I did that is when I kept stamping with this sentiment, for some reason, it just felt like it was crooked every time I stamped. So I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm making a sentiment guide. So you guys can do this also, where you create just, this is actually just a backing from one of our DSP packets. And then I just put sentiment guide on there, and it helps me to place my sentiments. And you can make them different, varying heights, you know, and just have them in your stash. Okay, so now that I've got that across the bottom there, and even just looking at it just makes it looks crooked. It's just looking at it, but I promise you it should be straighter than if you just eyeball it. Okay, now I'm going to take this sentiment and I'm going to go just above that sentiment line, and it makes it easier for me to line that up with such a big gap. So now I'm just focusing on the edge of this versus trying to make it, you know, look even from the very bottom. You guys know what I'm saying, right? So now the cool thing about this stamp set is that it is, a photorealistic, what am I thinking of? Distinctive stamp. So it's gorgeous, right? It's gorgeous. All right, let me up. So when I'm looking at this, I just inked this up, and I see all these little speckles in here, which tells me that my ink pad is a little bit too juicy. So a little tip for you, if your ink pads are too juicy and you're working with a distinctive stamp set and you want it to really have a great image, then you want to push some of the ink away and use the back of a spoon to do that. At least I use the back of the spoon. I don't know if you guys can see here, but it's got all these little speckles, which is just too much ink on the stamp. Okay, that kind of moving that ink away helped a little bit. All right, so it's not perfect, but it's better than it was. Now what you're gonna do is just stamp. Ooh, I almost made a mistake. This is not the color. Let me grab the card for you so you can even see what I'm talking about. Glad I caught that. Okay, so you're not going to use Moody Mauve. You're going to use Wild Wheat. Wild Wheat as your wreath color. Okay, clean that off. Okay, let's get back in here. I'm glad I caught that in time. So we're going to ink up Wild Wheat. And it's got the little, like the excess ink, but that's okay. I'm going to keep going with it. And I'm just going to stamp above. You'll be able to see the difference. Okay, so let me show you. I'm going to focus on that. You can see all those little speckles, right? That's because there's too much ink on my ink pad and I need to push away the ink. And then you'll see on here, there's none of those little speckles. So if you're doing it correctly, it will look more like this one on the left, okay? All right, let's keep going. So now we've got these little berries that we're gonna ink, and we're gonna use Moody Mauve for this. So you're just gonna stamp these little berries, maybe turning them every so often so that it looks like a little bit of a variety there. You guys, I just love this stamp set. I just think it's so gorgeous. Okay, there we go. And then we're gonna take some scrap paper. And you actually have, I did die cut this out for you because I thought, well, maybe they have this stamp set and they don't have the dies or something and they want to just not have to fussy cut. So if that's the case, you can actually just stamp on this if you wanted to. Look how pretty that is. All right, so then we are going to add this onto our card with some Stampin' Dimensionals. Just like that on the side. And then you guys will each have a little tiny pearl. Check those corners of your envelopes. Oops. Hopefully my audio didn't turn off. So check the corners of your envelopes because you'll have this little tiny pearl that'll go right there. Isn't that gorgeous, you guys? Oh my gosh, I just love this. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, now we're gonna add this on. I wanted just an extra layer of, let me see here. Oh, oops. So what I did was I did not do, I used this. Let's see here. We'll just use this in its place. I use dimensionals. So because I put that glue down, I'm just gonna put this right there. Okay. Sorry, I'm making so many mistakes on this card, but I'm catching it before, just in time. All right, so then there is that card. I probably should have put one in the middle. And then we're gonna put this down on your Moody Mauve card base, right in the center. And isn't this just gorgeous? Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. All right, guys, that is our video tutorial for our July 2023 Sweet and Simple card class. Our next Sweet and Simple card class is already scheduled. I will put registration and everything for it up really soon. I would love for you to attend. If you can't attend in person, I would love for you to get the kit to go and share with me what you create with it. So here are the projects again that we created. Sorry, my phone, I thought I had it on Do Not Disturb, but I'm getting all of this stuff. Okay, anyways, so here are the cards. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Stay tuned for more information about Card Club, and stay tuned for registration opening up for our Sweet and Simple card class in August. I think it's the 3rd Saturday in August. All right, guys, have a wonderful day. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.